wonderful good evening to you from the KXAN Live studios. This is Instant Analysis, and I'm your host, Billy Gates. And what you guys just watched a little bit ago was Texas absolutely dismantling the Michigan Wolverines on their turf, 31-12. Just a tremendous win for the Longhorns as they open up the 2024 campaign. And with me to talk about it, KXAN sports reporter and anchor Jonathan Thomas. Jonathan, I mean, we just couldn't stop talking about how well the Texas offense moved the ball against this vaunted Michigan defense. I mean, what did you kind of see from the Texas offense?
Yeah, not bad for the first time in the big house, huh, Billy?
Yeah, and there's Matthew McConaughey right
Matthew
there, enjoying it.
Fired up. Him and Charles Woodson went chest to chest out on the field.
Pretty funny.
Game,
pretty
funny.
Was
a cool moment. But yeah, McConaughey would have the last laugh, and so would the rest of the Longhorns out there. You know, Quinn Ewers, you talk about having a command of the offense. I mean, he looked like a guy who made himself a lot of money today with his performance in front of all those NFL scouts that were at the big house checking out this one. I mean, you know, just the way he picked apart Michigan's defense. Of course, they have, you know, Will Johnson, one of the best defensive backs in the country. Ewers is like, I'm not even going to mess with him today, but everybody else I'm going at. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, a masterful job, you know, and a great job, again, from Sarkisian, you know, just knowing exactly what the right plays for the right situations to call. I mean, you know, both Sark and Ewers show that they are masters at this offense, and to score 24 points in the first half against that kind of a defense, that, you know, Michigan's offense isn't good. Davis Warren as a quarterback has a lot of work to do. You know, I'm sure we'll talk about that, you know, in the next few minutes. But so that goes without saying, of course, you know, if you watch this game. But that defense, that Michigan defense is still really good. And Texas just completely picked them apart. Number 85, Gunnar Helm right there. A career day for him, 7 catches, 98 yards. He played a huge role, making some big catches for big gains. Of course, scoring the first touchdown of the game on a 21-yard pass from Ewers. So, you know, this was a day where the offense they looked about as good as you possibly can last week. But now you throw in a real vaunted defense that Michigan brought, and on the road, handling that crowd. I mean, that was as good as it gets for Texas.
I think the most impressive part about this is that it was on the road in quite literally the largest stadium in the country by capacity. And it 107,000 people screaming at you, and you're able to perform at this kind of level was pretty impressive. Now, some final stats I got it picked out for us to look at. Total yardage, Texas leads 389 to 284. And I believe almost 80 of those yards for Michigan came on that last drive when they finally scored on that touchdown pass to Samaj Morgan, where he kind of stretched his arms out over the goal line. Third downs I was most impressed with as well. I mean, 10 of 16 for Texas. When you're converting that many third downs, you're gonna put the ball in the end zone.
Especially in that first drive, that 3rd and 13, Ewers, when he found Isaiah Bond down the field, that I think was big because, you know, Michigan had shut them down the first 2 plays, and for Ewers to roll the dice, throw a deep ball right there in that situation, you know, when they're pinned back, got into Michigan territory after that one, and Bond, you know, made the great catch. But yeah, I mean, they made so many big plays on 3rd down, Billy, and that, again, that's how you quiet the crowd. It's 3rd down, everybody's fired up, you know, the defense is just frothing in the mouth to just stop you one more play so they can get the ball back, and when you get a first down, everybody's got to reset, including the crowd, and it kind of knocks everybody back a little bit.
Yeah, and Steve Sarkisian said earlier, I believe it was in his Thursday media availability, that he wanted to create some kind of deafening silence in the big house. And a good way to do that is to keep drives alive by making third downs count. Let's go back to the stats here real quick. Turnovers, when you don't turn the ball over, chances are good for you. And Texas did not turn it over. Michigan had 3 turnovers. They got 2 interceptions, one by Andrew Makuba, Austin native, newcomer to the Longhorns, transferred from Clemson. And then Derek Williams had the other pick. And Jahdae Barron recovered a fumble. Red zone scoring, Texas was perfect, 4 for 4. They scored 3 touchdowns and then a Burt Auburn field goal. and Michigan only had the ball once in the red zone, and I believe that was a field goal that they scored. And then first downs, Texas had 19 to Michigan's 13. So it's just a very complete performance, I thought, from Texas, both sides of the ball. Obviously, you're going to have some kind of clunky moments in there, and I don't want to call him out specifically, but it's just kind of what happened. Offensive lineman Cam Williams, who was named the SEC Co-Lineman of the Week last week after Colorado State, picks up Texas's first 4 penalties, some false starts, a hold there.
But the whole call back, the first, the first touchdown that you were through was to DeAndre Moore, but it was called back by that.
So kind of tough day for Cam, but I'm sure he'll bounce back. But there were a little bit clunky moments. But I mean, for the most part, Jonathan, if you're Steve Sarkisian, if you're Texas fans, if you're anybody involved with the Longhorns, you got to feel really, really good about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is when you have a team that's been ranked in the top 4, preseason. They were ranked 3rd going into today. They're a team that made the college football playoff last year, as we know. I mean, they were expected to be great again. They lost a lot of talent, but they gained a lot of talent in the transfer portal. And, of course, the talented underclassmen stepping in and growing a year older. This is a team that, Sark has said he has expected them to do this, what they did today. You know what I mean? He didn't say we expected to beat Michigan 31-12.
Right.
But he said he expected great things from this team because they have the potential to be that. And wins like this show that, they're nothing to mess with going forward. I mean, because, when you have a team with all of this weapons and you can spread it around in the way Ewers can spread it around. Like I said, today it was Gunnar Helm who led them in receiving yards. But, they still have Isaiah Bond out there. They still have Matthew Golden, who's been playing really well. They have Bolden, you mentioned. I mean, DeAndre Moore, who I mentioned, who caught that touchdown that got called back. They have so many weapons as far as receivers. And then, of course, Jaden Blue at running back, Jared Gibson at running back, Trey Wisner. I mean, Blue went out for a little while. And then Jared Gibson picked up right where Blue left off.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by Gibson,
Yeah, I mean, and
true
he
freshman coming in like that.
Yeah, exactly. And he ran for the second touchdown, but had a nice run before that touchdown that kind of set that play up, set up his score. So, they have so many ways they can go. And it's hard to stop a team like that. And Texas just put, Ohio State and Georgia specifically on even more notice.
Right.
That Ohio State and Georgia didn't know how great Texas was.
And we're going to get Georgia and Texas here later in the season. I think that's going to be a tremendous football game. We're going to have to wait a while for that one. But, hey, it's going to be here in Austin, so that'll be nice, too. Yeah. Going over to some just real quick player stats. We mentioned these before. Quinn Ewers, 24-36, 246, and 3 touchdowns. I think most importantly, 0 interceptions. Like that's the big part for not only Ewers, but for Texas in general. Rushing, Ryan Wingo, of all people, the freshman wide receiver, leads as far as yardage goes. He had a 55-yard sort of an end-around kind of reverse play to set up a touchdown. It was a really nice run. Jared Gibson, as we were saying, 10 carries, 36 yards, a touchdown. Trey Weiser, 8 for 30. Jaden Blue, 9 for 22. He was out for a good chunk of the first half. Looked like he had sort of like an ankle, kind of lower leg injury. Saw him limping to the sideline a little bit, but he was able to come back and contribute. And Gunnar Helm, just probably one of the last guys you would have expected to lead Texas in receiving, given all the talent they've got on the outside. 7 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown. And Matthew Golden, 6 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Bond there, 3 grabs for 51. I mean, yeah, just a very, very balanced attack by Texas. And it's something like that's tough to scout, really, because, I mean, there's just so many different ways Texas can go. I mean, Jonte Cook is an electric player. He hardly even played. He had a couple catches, I believe. I think one got called back on a penalty. But, they've got guys everywhere. In the backfield, it's a little thin with Baxter and Christian Clark injured and out for the season, but they proved that they could do the job with the guys they have. So just a great complete win by Texas.
Yeah, and the thing is with the running backs that they have right now. I mean, I know no one had amazing numbers today,
Right.
but they did what they were supposed to do. When they needed to get, the tough yards, they got them. When they needed to, convert a second and short or a third and short, they were able to do so. So, and then, Blue was able to catch that touchdown out of the backfield. I mean, so even though, you look at today's numbers, again, Michigan, great defensive line. I mean, they're really good up front.
Yeah.
When you look at today's numbers, I know, no one ran for 140 yards or anything today, but when you watch the game, you watch the game and you see what they were able to do, you're like, okay. I mean, they held strong and everybody did their jobs to the best of their ability, given who they were facing.
Yeah, and let's see. Texas gained 143 yards on the ground. Obviously, that's a big by committee type thing. The Texas defense held Michigan's rushing attack to 80 yards, which is a feat in and of itself. Donovan Edwards, Khalil Mullings, they combined for, looks like 66 yards on 14 carries. So those two big running backs kept pretty quiet by that Texas defense.
Yeah, and I tell you, I got to spotlight two guys. One guy's an OG, a veteran on the defense, and one guy is a young buck. He's not a freshman, but he's a sophomore. David Benda and Anthony Hill, those two led Texas in tackles today. And David Benda, he's in his 6th season. He has been such a big time, rock for those younger players on that side of the ball. And for him to he had a really good game in week 1 against Colorado State, had a big day today, as I mentioned, led the team in tackles. So David Benda is doing exactly what a guy of his status and skill set is supposed to do, because he's also a really good player too. It's not just that he's, a 6-year senior.
Right.
Who's a good leader. He can also play.
Yeah.
And he can make things happen. And Anthony Hill, his development continuing. I mean, this guy, we've known he especially played, so much last year as a freshman, getting starting obviously this year. This guy's been incredible, and his program is going exactly the way they designed it as well. So those are two big time guys today for Texas on the defensive side of the ball. When you're talking about, the guys up front and the linebackers. Yeah,
David Benda is just a great story, just one of perseverance, just kind of the guys that are waiting their turns. Obviously, you don't see that very much now with the transfer portal. Guys don't play for a year. They're looking to split. But Benda, he's kind of that old school mentality kind of guy who's going to work for everything that he gets. And just a great story for him. He led the way with 7 tackles, half a tackle for loss. Andrew Mukuba, we talked about him earlier, transferring over from Clemson, the former LBJ star here in town. Just a great overall game for him. 4 tackles, 3 of them solo, the interception, and then 2 pass breakups. Already just coming in, making an impact.
Yeah, for sure. And he had a really nice, one of those breakups was really nice, where he basically just, knocked the ball out of Loveland's hand. Of course, Loveland didn't have possession, so it wasn't a fumble or anything. It was an incomplete pass, but he did a really good job breaking that play up, because that would have been a good play for Michigan.
Yeah.
Had Loveland made that catch. I don't quite know if it would have been for a first down, but it would have made it either 3rd and short or whatever the next down was and short, or it would have been for a first down. Mm-hmm. So Mukuba was in the right place at the right time a lot of times today on that breakup, and then of course on that interception after the ball was tipped in the air, Mukuba was right there to snatch it out and bring it down. And he made sure to get that football back too for his first career interception with Texas. After it was on the ground, he ran back and got that one. And
then he got to spear a flat football on the turnover sword.
On the turnover sword, or as Anthony Hill called it, a kebab.
Ooh, a kebab. Okay, all right.
We can go either way.
Are they eating from?
They're eating.
Is that why?
Today, Bill.
Is that why they call it kebab?
Texas ate today.
I also heard another name for it, the Texcalibur. As like Excalibur, the sword and the stone.
Yeah.
Okay, all
right.
I mean, we'll workshop.
We're having fun. Yeah,
they're having fun.
Everybody's having fun with that.
We're all having fun here.
You gotta have, you can't just look in 2024. You can't just force a turnover and just high five. You got to have something else.
Yeah, you have to have a prop.
Exactly.
Oregon State's got the chainsaw. Everybody else has like just a chain.
Just everybody's got everyone's got something. I'm excited. Someone needs to come up with like a turnover pillow
or something. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Just,
why not a pillow?
Just lay down, throw it on the ground, lay down.
Okay.
On it,
all right.
We saw USA basketball.
Whatever.
That. Let's take that up a notch.
All right, man. Pillow. We'll work on it. I think we can come up with things better than a pillow. But tune in next week. Maybe we'll have something better.
I think my explanation for the poll, if we had a poll, I'd say put that on the poll.
Right. Yeah, no, this isn't the Dan Le Batard show. We're not going to make polls every 10 seconds. So this show is already kind of going off the rails, so I'm just going to put an end to it. Texas beats Michigan 31-12 at Michigan Stadium on Saturday. Just a great all-around win for the Longhorns. They moved to 2-0. They've got UTSA next week, 6 p.m. September 14th at DKR Texas Memorial Stadium, and they start the season 2-0, and it's quite an impressive 2-0 actually. 52-0 over Colorado State, and then this win. Nice start to the season for the Longhorns.
To not give up a touchdown until the last 2 minutes of week 2. Can't ask for more than that.
Not too shabby. Well, for this episode of Instant Analysis, for Jonathan Thomas, I'm Billy Gates. Thank you so much for watching, and we're going to talk to you again very soon.